Live with CDP Sports Talk, a weekly sports and entertainment podcast sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet. Live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And on audio via Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Anchor FM, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Radio Public, and TuneIn. Now, here's your host, Chris Palme.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Season 6, Episode 37, overall 312 of Live with CDP Sports Talk, sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out barrycullen.com for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, or give them a call at 519-824-0210, or email them at info@barrycullen.com as well. Also, guys, Live with CDP Sports Talk is on weeknights from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern on WQEE 99.1 FM in Metro Atlanta. I hope everyone is doing well on this, hard to believe it's Thursday, August 31st. 2023. Where did June, July, and August go? But I'm looking forward to my guest today. I met him a few weeks ago at BMO Field when I was covering the Argonauts game against the Ottawa, I want to say Rough Riders, but Red Blacks. And his name is Luca Moia, board operator and on-site technical producer with TSN 1050 in Toronto. And I'm looking forward to speaking to Luca. Good afternoon, Luca. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Chris. How are you?
Good. How are things at the radio station right now?
Yeah, they're good, man. Argos are rolling, waiting for the Leafs and the Raps to kick off, so everything's going good, yeah.
Hey, and the Toronto FC actually won a soccer game.
That's that too. Yeah, I mean we haven't talked about them in a while, but yeah, it's good to see them getting back to winning games.
I had a question to ask you about the FC. I'm not really a soccer fan, but do they have radio coverage in Toronto?
We don't. We haven't carried the games this year. So not sure about that. I know they have it on Apple TV and they do things like that where you can listen in. But yeah, it's mostly the television side for them this year. So I mean, hopefully they start doing better so we can put them back on the radio and listen to them more.
And obviously, you must be pleased with what the Argos are doing this year. 8-1 start, and then Chad Kelly just signed a 3-year deal with the team today as well.
Yeah, he looks as good as advertised, I would say. Right, last year, I thought him being a backup, I thought there's only a matter of time. I thought until he kind of takes that next step and becomes the starter, and he was good. Division I, he was very good. I think he went toe to toe with Nick Saban at one point in his college career. So he's showing everybody why he has the talent. I would have loved to see him get an NFL shot, but you cannot complain because he's here in Toronto doing great things.
Absolutely, and just like Nathan Rourke, I want to see him do well in the NFL as well. But I don't like. I can't believe they put him on waivers, and not one other NFL team wanted to give him an opportunity. So I guess he's back on with the Jaguars as a practice squad member.
Yeah, but he had that highlight reel play, if you remember, in the preseason against, I think it was Dallas, where he just showed off that incredible, athleticism and great arm. So I think he. We haven't seen him in real game, obviously, like in an actual NFL game, but the talent seems to be there. So hopefully he gets his shot as well.
People don't realize this too. I was born in the 70s, but I grew up with the CFL and the NFL, and I don't know why you can't like both leagues for what they are instead of comparing them.
Yeah, I mean, I played football growing up, and it is a different game with the Canadian rules, and I get it. A lot of people that I talk to that don't watch the CFL hate the idea that you can miss a field goal but still get rewarded with a point. And I think that's a big thing that I hear a lot. Or, you can be tied in a game, and if you're on, let's just say, the 1 yard line, you can just punt it through the end zone and win the game. And I think a lot of people don't like that kind of 1 point kind of thing. So it's different similarities, but there's less running. Like there's more throwing in the CFR because you only have 3 downs. So it's electric. And if you watch a Toronto Argos game this year, it has been fireworks every single game. And I mean, if you haven't watched them, watch them because it's pretty good football.
Absolutely. And the Argos do have a running game with AJ
Yeah,
Ouellette,
they do. Yeah.
Andrew Harris, and Chad Kelly
Mhm.
can move out of the pocket as well. He's got more mobility than his uncle Jim.
Yeah, yeah, no, he's doing a lot of his work is inside the 10 to 5 yard line. Not gonna by any means compare him to Jalen Hurts, but when they're in the 5 yard to 10 yard, he is a huge threat. And it kind of reminds me of Jalen Hurts because he's so strong and he's so good at doing quarterback sneaks, and he's been fantastic for the Argonauts this season. Really, if the football in general, not just CFL, and Chris, you know this, and in the NFL as well, you got to be dual threat now, and
Oh, absolutely.
just I mean, Chad Kelly, he might not as run like other guys, but when it comes down to that red zone, he is a huge threat, and defense has got to watch out for that.
Yeah, and as much as I like McLeod Bethel Thompson, I thought he did great in Toronto.
Mhm,
Kelly has two things that McLeod didn't have. Obviously, Kelly's got more mobility than McLeod, and
mhm.
also a deeper, a stronger arm to go deep as well. But hey, McLeod Bethel Thompson, 5 years in Toronto, helped the Argonauts win two Grey Cups. So,
Yeah,
and I think he was a very good mentor for Chad last year as well.
yeah, he's just kind of stepped in, and nothing has changed. They've just gotten even better. And that's scary for the rest of the CFL because this is the team that won the Grey Cup last year. So I think they're averaging, I don't know, I think it's at least it's over 30 points per game. It's gotta be. And they've been electric.
Yeah, they scored 30 plus points in 8 out of their 9 games, except for the
See.
one game in Calgary as well. But quick thoughts on the game against Calgary
Mhm.
and Luca, when you guys do the radio broadcasts, we'll do the Argos this time because the Raptors aren't playing. What time do you guys have to get to the stadium at to start preparing for the radio broadcast with Mike Hogan and Ben Grant?
Yeah, so we go on air at 30 minutes before kickoff. It's 7 o'clock game. We're on at 6:30. It's really 7:07 by the time they do all the introductions and stuff. But 7 o'clock. So we're on at 6:30. I like to get there around 4. Give myself 2.5 hours. I like to be set up for 4:35. And then you have 2 hours, an hour and a half before we go on air to check if anything happens, testing, because I've been ready 3 hours in advance, and 5 minutes till we go on air, something happens. So you always have to be prepared. You always have to be ready. That's why going early, and it is better because you beat the traffic and you get a good parking spot. So it kind of has its perks, but it's good because you get to talk to Mike, and you just get to kind of pick his brain, and during the game he's such a great person, off, I guess you could say, off radio, I guess, when they're not on the air. And we love to talk, and he's been such a great help for me as well. So it's been really fun.
Yeah, he's great. And when I come there to do media work, I don't really have to be there until like 6 o'clock, but I like to
Mhm.
get there early because I like to talk to Mike and Ben
Yeah, Ben's great. Yeah.
and yourself and Owen. And I just like to get in there, set up, and then just talk to people and then do some interviews as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, Ben, I think I worked with him a little bit last year, but he's taken on like the main guy role for a color analyst, and even sometimes when I just listen to him, like he knows what he's talking about. Like he knows the CFL, and he has a podcast that he does as well. So
Yes.
I love talking to them three because the NFL is kind of my main sport, and I watched when I was young with Ricky Ray and Chad Owens, and I watched those Argos teams, but you kind of move away a little bit when they don't start to do as good. And the NFL is the NFL, and it's Sundays, and fantasy and betting and all that stuff. So you kind of move away from the CFL. So I'm glad I've kind of gone back into it, and just talking to those two, they know so much about the game, and it's really cool to see and just to listen to them speak.
I am so happy for the first time in what 4 years, Mike and now Ben are able to do the road games. Now,
Yes.
do you just do the games at BMO Field, or do you go on the road with the guys too?
No, I don't go on the road. I'm back at the studio, but
Okay.
I do all the home games for all the three teams. But back at the studio, we have other board operators as well. So there's kind of a filter system that goes on. But yeah, when it comes to the home games, that's kind of my gig, as they call it. So, but road games, you do your thing back at the studio, and it's fun too. It's definitely, it doesn't give you the vibe and the excitement of being at the games, but you still get to listen to them talk and chat to them. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, being born in the 70s, I grew up with the radio because
Hmm.
back then the game was as much as they are. So I ended up listening to the Argos on CFRB 1010 with Bob Bertina and Pete Martin, the former Argo linebacker, and Tom and Jerry with the Blue Jays. And for me, I love doing TV. I do some TV work with Rogers TV and the University of Guelph,
Hmm.
and I love doing the TV and the radio side, but radio is my true love because I just love how those guys have to paint a picture for the audience.
Yeah, you could tell the difference between someone who's done it and someone who hasn't. And it's just like the detail you have to go into to explain literally everything. And when you listen to Mike and Ben, right, it's literally what down, what time, what hash mark is it, where they're throwing the ball, what formation it is, is Dinwiddie going nuts on the sideline, is what the defense is looking like. You got to literally paint the picture so quickly right out of the huddle, and then you got to explain the play as well, and then give a picture for that. And it's not just football; it's hockey. And when I do it with Joe Bowen, it's the Raptors, right? When I do it with Paul Jones and Javon Charlie, like all the guys that I work with, they do such a great job, and it is so different than TV. Because TV, we all see what's happening. You just got to explain the goal and everything like that. So it's very different. But radio is really it's its own art, I would say.
Absolutely. Hey, and how I got into this was a few years ago with a basketball team called the Guelph Nighthawks of the Canadian League Basketball League. They
Hmm.
asked me to do some camera work. Never done it in my life. They
Yeah.
actually liked my work the first time. They paid me, and it led me to Rogers TV, which led to my podcast, which led to my radio show. And I'm a little bit later in life in knowing what I want to do, but everybody in your profession has been so great, especially the Toronto Argonauts
Hmm.
organization as well.
Yeah, no, they've been really great. Really, the big thing is that you wouldn't think that this is, you may be like, oh, it's CFL, it's Argos, but man, they feed you well there. I'll be honest. Every time I'm in there, I look forward to the lunches that they provide. They do a great job of taking care of us. So yeah, it's an honor to work for them.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm doing this the old school way. It's the harder road, obviously, the self-taught. But everybody in your profession has been great with me. I've been able to
Mhm.
work with people that are in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, 50s, and yeah, like you said, I really have a passion for this. And what I love about this too, and you'll know this too as well, Luca, is there's something new to learn all the time in this
Mhm.
industry.
Yeah, no, I'm learning something new about the job I do every day. I meet new people, and you learn. Oh, everybody goes through a different route, and so you learn. Oh, like you were in Hamilton, or you started your career in Saskatchewan, or wherever it is, and you're always learning something. And it might not be something about my job. It might be something about somebody else's job that you can take away and apply it, to your career. So I love being down there and talking to everybody. Like you said, you go in early when you don't have to. And I think those are the times where you got to make the most of it. And I try to do that.
Absolutely, and
Mhm.
I'm just trying to keep improving and keep
Yeah.
learning. And what I like about doing the Argos games or even the Buffalo Bisons, when I come down to the stadium, everyone's like knows my name and they
Yeah.
treat me like part of the family, and it's just awesome. It's like Owen, he remembered me right away for being on my show, and it's like
Mhm.
it's just good bunch of people to work with too.
No, it is. And I've always told people that I would love to get to the moment, and it's not happened yet because I haven't been at a game where I'm not working it. But I'd love to go down to a game where I'm not wearing my pass and talk to people that know you, not just because it says TSN or it says your name on it, and because you're supposed to be there, but even if it's just a security guards and I'm going with my family, I'd love to just be like, hey, how's it going and stuff, and for people to know your face, that's important.
Absolutely. And I was in that profession for 23 years. And I think
Hmm.
it's prepared me for this because I had to deal with a lot of people in different classes and everything. And
Hmm.
I had to deal with a lot of situations in interviewing as well. One thing I wanted to ask you, Luca, as well, can you just tell my audience just a little bit about yourself and when did you realize you wanted to get into this industry?
Yeah, so growing up, all I did was watch sports, and I was big into when I was a kid hockey, obviously, And it was tough not knowing, I think, during COVID, because I went to school, I went to CSM, and it was kind of like that moment where it was tough for everybody. Like, the whole world shut down. Everybody knows this. And so it's just, you're 19 or 20 years old, and you're looking for an internship, you're looking for a job. You don't really have experience. So the resumes you're sending out, they don't really have a lot on it. And so, applying, thank God that, Steph reached back to me, Phil at TSN gave me a chance, and I'm trying to run with it. But it's been something that I've known for a long time, that sports is a calling, and I have to work somewhere in sports. It doesn't have to be a specific sport. It just has to be either talking about it, producing a show about it, just being there and analyzing it. It doesn't matter what it is, but I knew from a young age, and I think my parents knew, and everybody around me, that I have to get into something with sports because it's what I love. It's what I talk about, maybe too much, but it is something that I'm very passionate about, and I'm hoping to, keep moving forward, and hopefully you guys will see me more.
Absolutely, and I had that passion too. They just unfortunately they didn't have this technology back
Yeah,
in the 90s. But you know what? Somebody told me it's not how you start life, it's how you finish it, and
exactly.
it's
Yeah.
never too late to change careers and stuff like that. And that's what I love about this too, is just I have a passion with sports like yourself and Mike and Ben, and obviously I've been an Argonauts fans for 1979, so I'm growing up covering my childhood team as well is kind of
Mhm.
special.
No, it's amazing. I mean, I remember when the 100th Grey Cup was here in Toronto, and they were playing Calgary. And, fast forward, I don't know how many years, at least 10 years probably, that I'd be there. I'd be talking, I'd be, seeing the players, the Leafs, right? Like, been watching the Leaf for so long, and I'd always tell my friends, man, I would just love to just go to games. And now I'm just there. And they're still starstruck about it. And even when I go to Raptors games, it's like, man, you're there, and now you're working them, and you're like, man, this is what we talked about when we were kids. So it's a really great feeling to do that, and I appreciate TSN for giving me that opportunity. But you can't get comfortable, and I'm still trying to work, work forward, I guess. And like I said before, for you guys to know me more than this show, or an on-site guy, for me to be maybe a household name that can bring you information, or that you see there on TV, and that's what I'm trying to work towards.
One thing too, Luca, doing TV with Rogers and the University of Guelph. Obviously, the on-air guys get their recognition and whatever, but you don't realize the public doesn't realize how
Yeah.
much work there is in a broadcast between radio and TV, and you need everyone to do their job. It's truly a team effort.
Yeah, it really is, and I think the people that I work with, and the guys that are on air, Joe, Paul, and Mike, they're just the play-by-play guys. They will always shut out, the guys behind the scenes, and that is, I think, important to me. Just because, yeah, it gets my name out there, but it's also their appreciation towards me and what I do. They know, that obviously what we do is important as well. My job is just to make them sound good and make sure that they get on air, and I do the best that I can, because I want them to succeed as well, and people are listening in to listen to them, and I don't want to jeopardize that in any way. And so I know that eventually, when I get my chance maybe to get on air, I'll never forget the people behind the scenes, because I've done that and I know how important it is. So it's really great to know all the rules and know how important everybody is.
And that's what I'm trying to do, Luca, right now, not just with my podcast show, but my media work and then
Mhm.
doing camera work, just trying to learn as much as I can of a little bit. I might not be the best at everything, but try to learn all the aspects of the industry.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. I think being versatile and knowing everything. When I can be an on-air guy, but oh, if my cough box isn't working, or why does my mic not work, it's important for me to know, oh, let me just do it, instead of rushing over the tech, or rushing over the producer, when everybody's stressing, because whenever something goes wrong with maybe a minute to go, it's just naturally that everybody's going to start to get a little bit stressed, and you got to fix it, and you're on a time crunch. So I think it's important to know everything.
Absolutely. You already answered the first part of this question, how you ended up with TSN 1050, but what has this experience been like?
It's been really fun. I've met a lot of great people in such a short time. It's been 2 years now, or it will be 2 years in March, so a year and a half, I should say. And I've met a lot of great people, and a lot of people that I didn't think I'd meet this early, and so that's been really great. And there's still a lot of people that I want to meet and that I want to talk to, and I'm looking forward, to having those conversations with them. But it's been really, really fun, and everybody that I work with is great, and we're all a team, and that I think that's the biggest thing is some people have their jobs, I have my job, but we all have to work together to make it work. And I always say it's like football. Like you need everybody to do their job because if someone doesn't do their job, it's not going to work.
Absolutely, and I saw that the other day with the University of Guelph Griffins. We all had to work together to put that broadcast together,
Mhm.
not just the on-air guys, but setting it up, tearing it down, and it's a lot of hard work, but it's a lot of fun too when you
Yeah,
enjoy it.
well, when it goes right and
Yes,
everything is smooth,
yes.
there's just not a better feeling. And there's probably not a lot of techs out there, but I can speak for the guys who are techs that when you get into a show or a game or whatever it is, and everything is going smoothly, it is the best feeling because now you can actually enjoy the game. You don't have to worry about trying to fix things and you're on air people, not sounding good. It's really good and you need everybody to do it. And everybody is good and so far we haven't had any big issues.
A lot of respect for producers and also the IT tech guys as well, because their
Mhm.
jobs can be very stressful at times as well.
Very stressful for them. I've done the producing side, and I think it's more about because you're depending on so many people, and if it goes wrong, you're the first person they look at, right? But if it goes really well, you might not have done a good job, but if it goes well, you're going to be looked at. So it's kind of a win-win, lose-lose kind of thing where again, I always refer back to football. It's like the quarterback. If you're winning and you're the QB, you look great. You might not have a great game. You're like, oh, you can win with this guy. But if you lose, the first person they're going to look at is you. Even though the team didn't play well, they're going to look at is you. And that's what I find that producers are the eyes are always on them at the end of the day.
To me, they are like a quarterback of a broadcast.
Yeah, they are. I mean, they got to book the show and come up with live stats or information that they got to feed to the guests and they got to make sure that okay, like commercials are good and the guests are ready to go and it's such a process. A lot of people don't realize it's a lot of work that you actually do at home when you're not even on the clock. And that's why I respect a lot of the producers at our station because I see what they do and I see what they go through. And it's a tough job, but thankfully that they're all great at what they do.
Absolutely. I'm gonna ask you this question as well. Can you just tell my audience a little bit about your roles exactly,
Yeah.
being a board operator and on-site technical producer for TSN 1050?
Yeah. So board opping is basically when you're listening to the games or the shows. We are basically making sure that the levels are good so that they're sounding good. So we'll get a feed, whether it be an on ice feed. We got to make sure that that's playing. So when you listen to the ice and you listen to if there's a penalty and a ref mic, we're making sure that you can hear that. And we got to raise that on the board. Obviously, we get the feed, we bring it in, and we got to make sure it plays for all of you guys. And then when there's commercials, we got to make sure the on air guys are muted, you mute them, you play the commercials, and you're giving them time counts. Okay, guys, we're back from commercial in 2, back in 1, back in 30. Okay, 5 seconds, mics up, and you put them up, right? And for on site, it's a little bit similar, but you're not the ones actually doing that because you're talking to the board operator back at the studio. So now what I do when I go on site is their mics, connecting to the arena sound, right? The on ice sound or the court sound or, the collisions in football, the crowd mic, the ref mic, the PA, all that stuff. I have to connect that to the studio back at the board so that the board operator can then play it for all of you guys to hear. So it's a big process on what happens. But that's why you need so many people to know what they're doing and do their job because you got to connect down. That person's got to feed it to everybody. And when I'm in the studio, or when I'm on site. I'm worried about the on-air guys, making sure their mic is good. And then the guys back at the studio says, okay, we're all connected. You're sounding good. It's going to air. If it doesn't sound good, then I have to fix it and make sure I'm giving them the proper feedback so they can play it for all of you guys to listen to. So a lot of people ask me that question. And a lot of people might not understand it. So I kind of give them the dummy down version. I just basically say, whatever you listen on the radio, that's me. And that's basically me giving it to you guys. But that's, I guess you could say, the in-depth analysis of what I do.
Another term I wanted to ask you about, and this is important in broadcasting. Can you just explain to my audience about a hot mic?
A hot mic. Well, I've heard two things that people have said a hot mic for. For me, a hot mic means when the mic's on when it shouldn't be, right? Like your mic's hot, like meaning like you're on, like, like you can't talk or whatever. Or a lot of people say hot mic meaning it's too loud. And those are the two things that we kind of say. For me, I use it in the term of like, you're not supposed to be speaking. So sometimes I'll say to Mike, hey, your mic's hot. Like, or I'll say, okay, your mic's hot or whatever. Or the guy at the station will say, hey, Luca, his mic's hot, bring him down or whatever. So that's the terminology that we use. Or it could just be another term we use if it's too loud is, he's bleeding. And we basically say that is because when you're listening, your ears will bleed because of how loud it is. So that's the terminology we use for that.
Good to know that. Do you have time for another question?
I got one more. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. This one I wanted to ask you, Luca. What do you enjoy the most about your role with TSN 1050? And what are some of the hardest aspects of the media industry, especially when you're just breaking into it?
Yeah, so what I enjoy most, I think, is just the people, like you said, just talking to people, networking, and getting people to know your name. That's something that is very rare, I think, for a lot of people that want to get in. And I'm in a unique position where I'm not on air, but I'm there. And I'm there talking to people, and I'm there talking to the guys on air and the guys that come into the booth to talk to them. And then I'll introduce myself, and that's how you get, you build your network and get people to recognize your face. And that's very, very important, talking to people. And that's been, my favorite thing is talking to everybody and trying to build up my profile. And then the hardest thing of the media is, just getting your chance, right? Getting your chance.
Opportunity.
Yeah, just getting an opportunity. The saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They're not just going to put me on because it's working. Why put me on? Why risk that? And I totally understand that. And eventually I will get my shot. It's just about, waiting for that opportunity, but you can't get comfortable. And that's something that I've learned, that I don't want to get comfortable. I like doing what I'm doing. I like working with the people I work with, but I do, I want to, have people hear my voice as well. Everybody has an opinion. I want people to hear my opinion as well. And so I want to be able to bring new sites and new ideas, new thoughts, because everybody has different ones. And so that's probably the hardest thing, is just kind of getting your opportunity. Not that they won't give it to you. It's just right now, if it's working, they're not just going to put me on, right? So I got to keep pushing, keep trying to get maybe experience, would still work with TSN, but get experience somewhere else. And then maybe, show them the stuff that I've been doing on the side. And then maybe they will give me an opportunity. So it's all about building, but you can't get comfortable.
Absolutely. And who would have thought 3.5 years ago I'd have 3 shows and then my show on a radio station in Georgia. So it's also being in the right place at the right time as well.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you told me, when the pandemic hit, that I'd be working with, Joe Bowen sitting courtside at Raptors games and talking to Mike Hogan, I'd be like, there's no way. And being 23 years old, I'm very, very privileged to do that. But again, I'm always looking for more.
Awesome. Yeah, Luca, I know we're short for time here, but I would definitely love to have you come back on again as a guest in the future to even talk a little bit more about your job and some Toronto sports. But we'll wrap this up right here, Luca. Where can my audience follow you on social media, and also to listen to the Toronto Argonaut broadcasts?
Yeah, so the Toronto Argonauts podcast, obviously TSN 1050 in your cars, or if you have the TSN app, will be on there. For my Instagram, it is luca.moya12. And then for my Twitter, it's Luca_Moya92. I had to change it because I got hacked on Instagram, and I'm pretty sure everybody's got hacked
Yes.
once.
Yes, yes.
So that's why there's different numbers and in a period and an underscore, but that's where I am. So Luca.Moia12 for Instagram, and then Luca_Moia92 for Twitter.
Okay. I will be at the Argos next game, September
Okay.
9th against Montreal.
Montreal.
But I'm going to be as a fan, but I'm hoping I can run into you and Owen, but I'm going to be going as a fan, and hopefully we'll see you in another month or so back in the press box. But Luca, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for giving me half an hour of your time today.
Yes,
and
thanks for having me.
Continued success, and we'll talk to you soon, buddy.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you, Chris. Have a good one.
Thanks, Luca. You too. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed season 6, episode 37 today of Live with CDP Sports Talk here on this Thursday, August 31st, 2023. And I want to say thank you to Luca, who's board operator and on-site technical producer with TSN 1050 in Toronto, and I think they do a great job, obviously, with the Toronto Argonaut broadcast, the Toronto Raptor broadcast, and the Toronto Maple Leaf broadcast as well. Speaking of the Maple Leafs, they just resigned their head coach, Sheldon Keefe, to a 3-year contract extension as well. Before we wrap this show up, guys, I'm just going to show you a little clip of an interview I did with Mitchell Russell from Camp 31 Barbecue Ribs at the local Golf Rib Fest this week. Guys, it's Chris Palmer here at the 25th Annual Rotary Club of Guelph's Rib Fest here at Riverside Park here in Guelph, Ontario, and I have a special guest here, and I'm going to bring. Hi, can I just get your name, sir?
Yeah, it's Mitchell Russell.
And can you just tell us a little bit about Camp 31 Ribs?
Oh, absolutely, man. Yeah, we're based out of Bruton, Alabama. Been doing it since 1985. We're one of the longest to be doing it, and tons of awards to show how successful we've been. And yeah, it's an awesome atmosphere, and everyone should come on by.
Thoughts on this weekend's Rib Fest, and this is the 25th annual Rib Fest here in Guelph. How many years have you guys been coming to Riverside Park?
Oh, as long as I can remember. I can't exactly put a number on it, but we absolutely love this event. Rotary does a fantastic job setting up the park. It's a beautiful park here at Riverview, and honestly, it's a real consistently busy show. So we love coming here.
What time are you guys open to tonight, as this is the third and final day of the Rib Fest here in Guelph?
Yeah, we're going to close a little bit earlier just so we could tear down our trailers, but we close at 8 o'clock today on Sunday, and the awards, I think, are getting mentioned at 4 or 5 o'clock.
I'm going to put you on the spot with this question, Mitchell. What makes your ribs stand out from all the other ribbers here at Riverside Park in Guelph?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, we've been doing it a long time, so we have the recipe down to a science. And, low and slow, fruity wood, hit them on the grill. And, of course, our award-winning blue ribbon sauce can't be beat. It's the only blue ribbon you'll find in the park, and it sets it aside from the rest for sure.
All right, I'm going to ask you one more question. When you guys get here, how long does it take you guys to set up here for the Rib Fest here at Riverside Park?
Yeah, we'll usually get here and park the trailers around 10 a.m. And then, by the time we're all said and done, it's usually 3 or 4 o'clock. And, we had to do a little bit of prep, and some of the stuff goes overnight, like the pork and brisket. So, you got to get that in and rolling as soon as you can. So not as long as everyone thinks when they see the operation. It's quite large with the trailers we got. But, it goes up pretty quick, actually.
And what is your favorite item here?
Oh, myself, I'm the brisket guy. I love the beef brisket. Absolutely.
And finally, what are some of your prices in case somebody wants to come down here tonight to Rib Fest here at Riverside Park?
Yeah, absolutely. You're doing the Rib Fest, right? So you want to get the ribs. Full rack is $34. Pound of beef, $24. We got the pulled pork going for $14 a sandwich. The chicken, $18 for a half chicken, and we have tons of combos to go with it. So everyone should come on by and check it out for themselves.
And finally, where can my audience find Camp 31 on social media and your website?
Yeah, we have a really active Instagram page, Camp 31 BBQ, and then Facebook as well, Camp 31 BBQ. So everyone should go check that out, give it a follow. There's lots of stuff for somewhere else every weekend, so there's always posts going up.
Mitchell, again, I want to say thank you so much for doing this, and I really enjoyed the ribs today and the coleslaw on the beans, and I'll definitely be back next year for Camp 31. Thank you so much again, Mitchell.
Oh, absolutely, man. Thanks for taking the time and representing the brand. Glad you enjoyed everything.
Have a great day. Thank you. All right, guys, that clip was courtesy of my YouTube channel. If you already haven't subscribed, type in Chris Palme live with CDP Sports Talk. Hit that subscribe notification. Again, that was Mitchell Russell from Camp 31 Barbecue out of Paris, Ontario. And I thought they had the best ribs at the local Rotary Club of Golf Rib Fest this past weekend here in Guelph as well. I want to say thank you to my guest today, Luca Moia, TSN 1050 in Toronto board operator and on-site technical producer for coming on. And hopefully I'll have Luca come back on again. But he does the Argonaut games at BMO Field, the Raptors games at Scotiabank, and also the Toronto Maple Leaf games at Scotiabank Arena as well. Speaking of the Toronto Argonauts, they had some news today. Quarterback Chad Kelly is going to be sticking around in Toronto. The Argonauts announced this morning a new 3-year contract extension for the Buffalo, New York native. And good for Chad Kelly. And it's nice to have stability with the organization, with the Argonauts, obviously with the ownership. Pinball Clements is a GM and Ryan Dinwiddie. And it's nice. This team is building a good nucleus where people can identify them. And Chad Kelly, number 12, has led the Argonauts to an 8-1 season so far this year. And obviously another win against Calgary on Friday night, 39-31. And Chad Kelly is one of the best players in the CFL this year. And Monday, the Argonauts take on their QEW rivalries, Hamilton Tiger Cats, Monday 3:30 on TSN or TSN 1050 if you can't get there, on the radio with Mike Hogan and Ben Grant, and also on TSN, who does a great job covering the Canadian Football League. So again, congratulations to Chad Kelly and the Toronto Argonauts on working on a 3-year contract extension for their franchise quarterback as well. The next live with CDP Sports Talk, Season 6, Episode 38, sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership here in Guelph, will be Wednesday, September 6th at 7 p.m. Eastern with my special guest, Kelly Dudzik. She is an Emmy award-winning journalist and anchors midday on WGRZ Channel 2 in Buffalo, New York. Kelly also covers reports for Most Buffalo, First at 5, and Channel 2 News at 6. And Kelly's been with WGR now, I think, for 10 years. And Kelly will be on my show for the 4th time. So I'm really looking forward to speaking to Kelly Dudzik about her roles with WGR Channel 2. And also maybe talk a little bit about how much Rick Jeanneret meant to the city of Buffalo and Western New York. Rick passed away recently at the age of 81 as well. And also Rich Stubler, the longtime former CFL coach and defensive coordinator around the league and with the Toronto Argonauts a number of times, and 5-time Grey Cup champion, passed away recently at the age of 74 as well. My CFL picks for this week, guys. I am picking Montreal over BC on Saturday. And then I believe Sunday you have Winnipeg, Saskatchewan. I'm going to go with Saskatchewan in an upset. And then the Labor Day games, Toronto at Hamilton. I got the Argonauts winning 27-24 over Hamilton. And the Monday night game, Edmonton, Calgary. I'm going to go with the Stampeders. I'm going to go with the Elks. The Elks have won 2 in a row, and they're playing good football with Trey Ford as their quarterback as well. Okay, guys, just give me 1 second. I got a lot of graphics here, so just bear with me. Okay, here we go. Live with CDP Sports Talk, as you know, is a weekly sports and entertainment talk show hosted by yours truly, Chris Palme, is on weeknights, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern on WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key, the home of Southern sports and talk, the heartbeat of Atlanta. Our radio station's website, if you want to listen through the web, is wqeefm.radio12345.com as well. And a shout out to Ryan O'Neill, their station manager, as well, as I've been on their station now for 7 months. Live with CDP Sports Talk is live streamed on these platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And I want to say thank you to everybody for watching this on live stream today as well. Also, guys, you can check out my website through Beacon's website, beacons.ai/Christy Palme, and all my content is on there as well. Live with CDP Sports Talk, again, is sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet dealership here in Guelph at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out barrycullen.com for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles. And also, guys, right now at Barry Cullen Chevrolet here in Guelph, Summer Adventures event is continuing. 4.99% financing for up to 48 months on a 2023 Blazer RS. Again, you can check that out at barrycullen.com or pop by the dealership at the 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall as well. Also, you can follow me on TikTok at Live with CDP. I post a lot of content and my interviews there as well. StreamYard is the official live stream provider of Live with CDP Sports Talk. If you're into webinars or podcasting, such as myself, check out StreamYard.com as well. And finally, Live with CDP Sports Talk, the podcast, the audio version is available on iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Spotify for Podcaster, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, Spotify, Castbox, LinkedIn, Pandora, and Tuned In. And again, weeknights at 8 o'clock Eastern on WQEE 99.1 FM in Metro Atlanta. You guys can also email or text Live with CDP Sports Talk at cpalme19@gmail.com, or you can text the show at 519-820-7188. If you have comments, questions, or suggestions for my show, that would be greatly appreciated as well. Also, guys, I wanted to let you guys know one of my friends and guests, Amanda Cross, her latest single is called Tennessee, is coming out Friday, September 1st. So Amanda Cross, who's a singer-songwriter out of New York City, her newest single, Tennessee, is coming out tomorrow, Friday, September 1st, and it'll be available on iTunes, Amazon Music, etc. And you can also check out her website at amandacrossmusic.com or Linktree/Amanda Cross as well. And it's a pretty good song, and I hope you guys can follow my friend Amanda Cross as well. I want to give a shout out to Wayne McFarlane. He is the CEO and chief editor of the Digital Briefing magazine, who has my show advertised in his once a month monthly news magazine. So check out digitalbriefingmagazine.com. And again, thank you to Wayne McFarlane for putting my show on your magazine, advertising it as well. And that's about it, guys. Again, my next Live with CDP Sports Talk, Season 6, Episode 38, will be Wednesday, September 6th at 7 p.m. Eastern with Kelly Dudzik from WGRZ Channel 2 in Buffalo. And I will let you know when the next Argo Bounce live audio show with Nick Small and myself will be taking place. We're going to have a special guest this week as well. And the next Small Talk podcast with my co-host and Andy Carroll Woolery will be at the end of September with a local guest as well. So again, I want to say thank you to Luca Moia from TSN 1050 in Toronto, board operator and on-site technical producer, for coming on Live with CDP Sports Talk today. And again, I want to say thank you to everyone for watching on live stream and also listening on my audio platforms and also on WQEE 99.1 FM in Georgia. I have a couple of comments before we wrap it up. Let's see, from the No Huddle football news. I love the CFL. Well, I want to say, Ray, thank you so much for having me on your show and for watching my show today. Yeah, the CFL is great. And I appreciate you watching me, and there's no reason why you can't love the CFL and the NFL as well. It's both leagues are great, and I'm lucky here in Canada because I get to cover the CFL, the NFL, and college football, which is starting up in the States. And also, college football started up here last week here in Guelph, where I did some camera work for the Guelph Griffins, where they defeated the Toronto Varsity Blues 33-10, and the Guelph Griffins start the season 1-0. And this weekend they're in the Rose City to take on those Windsor Lancers as well. Finally, I got another question from No Huddle Football News. Before we wrap this up, will they expand anytime soon? Ray, they did expand years ago, back in the 90s, to the States. They had a number of U.S. teams, but it didn't work out at that time. So the CFL right now is currently at 9 teams. They are looking to get a 10th team on the East Coast. Obviously, right now there's 5 teams on the West Coast here and 4 on the East, but they're looking to get that 5th team in the East Conference. And the last 40 years, they've been looking at the Halifax area for an expansion team in Atlantic Canada. So fingers crossed. Hopefully, in the next 2-3 years, they'll get that 10th team here in Canada for CFL, and it would be nice to have both divisions evened out at 5 each as well. So stay tuned, and hopefully they will have another team coming up. But again, I want to say thank you to the No Huddle Football News podcast for watching my show. Thank you for your questions, and enjoy the CFL games this week. We have 4 of them coming up, one on Saturday, one on Sunday. And then we've got the Labor Day doubleheader between Toronto and Hamilton at 3:30, and then Calgary and Edmonton later on that night. But TSN does a great job, and also TSN 1050 in Toronto does a great job doing the Argonaut broadcast with Mike Hogan and Ben Grant. And again, before we wrap this up, Argonauts re-signed Chad Kelly to a 3-year contract as well. And also, guys, if you missed my show last night with Nick Small, check out episode 7 of the Argo Bounce live audio show. It's available on YouTube and all my platforms, and it will be airing soon on WQEE 99.1 FM in Metro Atlanta. I hope everybody has a great afternoon, and also I want to wish everybody a happy Labor Day weekend, and we'll see you here next week for season 6, episode 38 of Live with CDP Sports Talk, brought to you by Barry Cullen Chevrolet, and also weeknights at 8 on WQEE 99.1 FM. Again, thank you to Luca Moia from TSN 1050 in Toronto for coming on today. Have a great afternoon, everybody. Happy Labor Day, and enjoy the football games.